evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, May 2nd. I am Sabrina Daly. Tonight, there are portions of the country that are presently without electricity. In fact, this has been the case since 10 a.m. when electricity was cut off in certain areas of Orange Walk District. The scheduled power interruptions will continue until 11 p.m. That's because Belize is facing an energy crisis, and BEL, its sole electricity provider, is scrambling to meet demand levels that have soared as high as 125 megawatts. As it stands, the maximum in-country generation capacity is 95 megawatts, and its supply from CFE in Mexico remains uncertain. The effect of the hours-long power interruption was most felt in San Pedro on Wednesday, and we will have full coverage of that untimely experience elsewhere in our newscast. Earlier today, the Chief Executive Officer of the Belize Electricity Limited and other senior managers of the utility company held a press conference to inform the nation of the latest challenges that BEL is faced with. CEO John Mencias began by discussing the country's present consumption.
The local peak for Belize goes up usually about 115 megawatts, but it can go as high as it did earlier this year to 127 megawatts. There are times during the day, especially during the night, when it falls to 115 megawatts, which means that in-country supply is able to meet that peak. However, we had to take our Milate gas turbine out of service because we are upgrading it. And so we lost 19 megawatts. And that puts the local in-country generation capacity below 100 megawatts. Which means, therefore, that once we're in that situation, to be able to meet demand most of the time, we have to rely on the 55 megawatts that we get from CFE. And whenever we can't get power from CFE and we're in that situation, then we have to resort to load shedding. So we were in a situation like that on Monday, whereby CFE said, we have to meet demand over here in Mexico, and we are unable to supply you with the 55 megawatts that you need. In fact, you need to go down to zero at this time. And when they do that, we are unable to match demand with supply.
According to Mencias, what has been taking place is load shedding, a controlled process of temporarily reducing electricity consumption across different areas to ensure the stability and continuous operation of the national electricity grid. During the presser, the Chief Executive Officer also informed that CFE, Belize's energy supplier in Mexico, was only able to provide 20 megawatts to the grid until 3 o'clock this afternoon.
So we have to load shed, and that is what happened on Monday. And that is actually what is happening right now as we speak. That CFE has agreed to supply us about 20 megawatts up to 3 o'clock this evening. It's 3 o'clock already. But as of 3 o'clock, they're going to cut it down to zero, which means that we'll have to take off even more feeders throughout the country. So those are the reasons for the recent power interruptions. There's a shortage of generation capacity in the country. Now, I want to make it abundantly clear to everyone that CFE is not acting outside of the contractual arrangement with BL. What we purchase from CFE is called opportunity cost energy. It used to be called economic energy, which means that it is interruptible at any moment's notice. However, CFE has worked with us. They have tried to give us 2 hours notice. Sometimes it is less. The relationship with CFE goes way back. It goes back to the 1980s. They have been a reliable provider of electricity for Belize. They have enabled us to keep our costs down, but importantly also they have provided us with grid support. And to put that in context, our systems are interconnected. We are very small compared to them. Any jolt in our system, they are able to handle it for us. And that is the importance of being connected to a big brother like CFE. However, we have been aware for some time that they have also been having generation shortage problems of their own, and also what we call transmission congestion problems. And that is why we have been emphasizing that we need to build in-country generation capacity to a level to be able to meet or peak demand within our own country. That does not mean that we're saying we don't want to continue a relationship with CFE. We want to continue that relationship with CFE. They provide us, as I said, with grid support, and when the price of energy from CFE is low, we want to purchase it. It's to our advantage. However, our focus has been since 2019 on energy security. Well, from before, but we have made a point of, we have been driving the point that we have to stop relying on CFE to meet peak demand in country.
On Wednesday, residents of San Pedro underwent a 14-hour power outage. This came amidst tourism high season, forcing hotels that were able to use generators to accommodate guests, while smaller hotels made do without. In a press conference today, BEL CEO John Mencius said the most recent outage was caused by faulty equipment. Here's News 5's Brittany Gordon with that story.
Amidst tourism high season, Belize's premier tourist destination underwent a grueling 13-hour power outage. What began at 10:20 a.m. on Wednesday lasted until the early hours of Thursday morning in some areas. This power outage was not the first residents of the island experienced recently, as just a few weeks ago, power supply to the island was cut. This was caused by a submarine cable which supplies energy to the area, surpassing its max capacity. To protect the cable, the feed from it was temporarily dropped by Belize Electricity Limited. At a press briefing held by the energy providers, BEL CEO John Mencius expanded on the events that caused the breach to occur.
So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had power interruptions. I think it occurred on a Saturday, a power interruption in San Pedro. It affected feeder 2 San Pedro, which is the portion of the system that feeds to the north, where most of the resorts are. That lasted for probably an hour to 2 the most. And the reason for that power interruption is that the cable, the capacity of the single submarine cable that feeds the island was breached, meaning that demand on the island surpassed the capacity of the cable. The cable is rated for somewhere in the region of 17 megawatts just above, and the demand in San Pedro went to 17.6 megawatts. And we moved quickly to protect the cable, and that is why we dropped a feeder 2 out there. But afterwards, what we did is that we got in contact with various resort owners. We asked them if they could go on their standby generators. When they did so, that reduced the demand for electricity in San Pedro, and we were able to reduce supply below the capacity limit of the cable.
Mencius said that the high demand in San Pedro continued for about 2 weeks, causing larger hotel owners to rely on personal generators. Mencius said that eventually the levels normalized and the company was able to meet the demand once again. Yesterday, however, the power supply was cut off once again, this time because of malfunctioning equipment.
However, yesterday, early in the morning, we started to encounter voltage fluctuations at our Mascal substation, which supplies San Pedro. And when we further investigated on site, we found that there was leakage and there was smoking of one of the major components of the transformer. And we had to move quickly to protect the transformer. And we had to drop the entire circuit that feeds San Pedro. That is from 1020. We realized very quickly that we could not do anything about fixing that transformer in the meantime, and we moved quickly to deploy a mobile transformer that we have in place to the Mascal substation.
After several hours, BEL employees were finally able to replace the faulty transformer and restore power to the island.
We started to move right away. It took us about 2.5 to 3 hours to dismantle that mobile substation. I say transformer, but it's actually a full substation. It was by Milate on the George Price Highway. It took us another 5 hours to transport that because it is huge and wide. It could not go through the normal route to Mascal. It had to go all the way up to Carmelita and then down along the old Northern Highway. And even so, 2 of the bushings on that mobile substation broke. Had it not been for that, we would have been able to get back San Pedro online by about 9:30 last night. So remember, from 10:20 in the morning, way up to then, we actually got San Pedro back online until 48 minutes after midnight, which is this morning.
Mencias said that the company is going to repair the transformer that caused the power outage, as the mobile substation used to restore power is just a temporary solution and is at max capacity.
What we're doing now, we have brought in some help from a contractor based in Guatemala who specializes in fixing those components. I think he should be here today, or one of the representatives is here today, and we hope to get the transformer back in service within the next 3 to 4 weeks. But in the meantime, the mobile substation is capable of supplying the capacity out there. I will say though, sorry, the demand out there, I will say though that that mobile substation is at its capacity limit too. So we will have to continue to manage demand in San Pedro. So that is the San Pedro situation.
Among the issues with the equipment, BEL's largest power supplier, CFE, has been unable to provide power to Belize, resulting in several power outages across the country. Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations Anthony Mahler said that he is hopeful the issue can be rectified soon.
Hotels, the bigger ones do, yes, it is problematic for us, but we had a discussion in cabinet yesterday about it, and BL is working feverishly to try to rectify the situation. It's not the best situation. We're still in high season right now per se. We believe that we'll get the solutions implemented pretty soon.
But we see these constant blackouts happening, and they may continue because of Mexico's load shedding. Is there anything being done to ensure that tourists don't have to endure this?
Well, we're talking to Mexico as well, and so hopefully this can be rectified sooner rather than later.
Brittany Gordon for News 5.
The Belize Electricity Limited is figuring out how it will navigate through the dilemma of maintaining the country's power supply. Out in San Pedro, where the tourism season is still at its peak, there are concerns of potential health issues should people consume perishables that have gone bad. This evening, Area Representative Andrew Perez says that he looks to BEL to solve the issue, but he wants other questions answered as well.
So many things come into place, though. We're talking about all kind of things, even health issues come into place, especially with the heat right now. You know, you have a lot of food poisoning. You're hearing people already dumping things out their fridge. It's very serious, and it's cause for concern. And I am just afraid that this can be something of a looming up ahead. And the way how that the BEL company is letting us know that they are going to be load shedding all over the country, and says that there is a problem and we need to address it. We're extremely concerned, as it relates to tourism as well. Extremely important. Of course, this is still a busy season. This is not the slow season as yet because we are very busy, and so extremely concerned. As according to what we have been briefed, is that BEL is pushing aggressively to install a massive generator here on Abergis Key. I think it's something of a 20 megawatt size generator, and they're saying that they're hoping that they can have it up and running by the end of May, and we are hopeful. While two things here. One is that this is fossil fuel type of generator, which is not really helping at all in terms of what we are as a nation, which is trying to move away from fossil fuels, right, in terms of electricity. But secondly, given the urgency of it, it needs to be installed because I'm telling you, it would be grief if we get affected here. Furthermore, it can threaten not only the tourism sector, but indeed our economies. While we might blame Mexico for not providing, we have to look as well as the infrastructure. What has BL done in the past 15 years? What caused these problems? Because the three outages being caused is not by CFE, which is the Mexican Commission that provides electricity. It is showing that it is part of the infrastructure. So this is a concern. Personally, as I see it, we have a concern here as it relates to the infrastructure that has not been addressed. And I think it's manifesting itself now that San Pedro is actually consuming so much energy at this point in time.
Okay. Are people buying their own generators?
Lots of people have been buying up the generators right now, but that's another additional expense that we don't need. But we have to deal with it.
Okay.
Right.
Minister,
when you drive around town here yesterday when it was in the dark, a lot of people have little generators running, but this is a cost that nobody is budgeting for. So it's serious. And health-wise,
over the past several weeks, residents across the country have been experiencing power outages that span from a few minutes to several hours. On Wednesday, residents of San Pedro underwent an exceptionally long outage, which clocked in at around 14 hours. These outages are the result of several factors, namely BEL's largest energy provider, CFE, is no longer able to provide Belize with 55 megawatts of power as Mexico is facing its own energy crisis. CEO John Mencias explained what BEL plans to do to rectify the situation immediately.
But immediately, what do we have in place? Immediately what we have in place is that we're upgrading our gas turbine, as I said, at Mailip, and that is expected to come back online by early next week. It was originally at 19 megawatts. It's being upgraded to 30 megawatts. So next week, 30 megawatts of additional capacity is coming online. Once that comes online, we will be able to bridge the generation shortage that we're experiencing right now. And then by the end of May, we'll be adding another 20 megawatts of capacity gas turbine in San Pedro. So that means that by the end of May, compared to where we are now, we're putting back, or we're installing on the grid 50 megawatts of additional capacity. That will put us in a position to be able to meet peak demand well beyond the next 12 months, and more than likely up to about 18 months. And what that does, it gives us a window, but only a window, to start to put in place, and we must move immediately to put in place the capacity, the additional capacity that I just spoke to you about, the additional solar, the battery storage solutions, and wind power plant as well. So that is what it does. Now, once we put the additional 20 megawatts of gas turbine capacity on San Pedro, it means that if we ever lose that cable, or we have a problem with the transformer as we did last night, we will be able to resort to generation from the gas turbine that will be in San Pedro. Because the demand on San Pedro we're seeing is probably around 18 megawatts. The capacity of that gas turbine is about 20 megawatts that we'll be installing in San Pedro.
BEL has commenced routine load shedding, which limits power in various areas of the country. Today, several parts of Belize City will experience the scheduled outages as the company attempts to manage the capacity. BEL General Manager Jose Moreno explained what we can expect of this scheduled outage.
As I think we have explained earlier, we have prepared a program or a schedule for load shedding based on a forecast, on a demand forecast that we have prepared for the day. That demand forecast establishes more or less how much demand we're going to do by hour. Based on the generation availability at that hour, and given the restrictions imposed to us by, the lack of supply from the lack of adequate supply from CFE and our own generation sources, then we establish, a plan taking into consideration areas that we can do early, where it is better to do later at night, right? And also, we take into consideration the size of those areas, the size of those feeders. Okay, Belize City, I know it's a business district, so we're trying to, if we need to, because we need to right now, especially right now at 3 o'clock, we're going to be short of about 30 megawatts. That calls for the outage of an entire Belize City. We're not going to do that. So if we touch areas in Belize City, we'll do it at an earlier time than what we would do on a rural area, right? So I think we have prepared a proposed schedule that I think customer care and PR have already shared with our customers and employees. And if the load materializes, if those restrictions continue, then those load shedding schedules are affected. So it's something that is fluid, right? Let's say in the next hour or so, we lose one of our generation sources. It will need to be adjusted, okay? But overall, we will follow a plan that takes into consideration the sensitivities of the areas where we plan to do. There are some areas that we did not expect to load shed. Belize City Feeder 6, that's where the hospital is, where the hospitals are. Areas of government offices in Belmopar, health centers, police installations, stations, and so on, right? So we take into consideration those areas that we might have of concern with respect to crime. So we are very conscious, and we put all of those factors into the plan.
Coming up, reports of heightened cartel violence in Chetumal concerning to Belizeans.
Well, sir, I really did go through some stress with my barber. This man, they push my hairline way back to the 90s.
Sure.
People, they call me BB Buck Farid now.
So I got a problem, right? I just do this photo shoot, and I want the best photo shoot. But somebody don't want me to post it up. I just tired of this, man.
And I want to tell her to catch me on my way. I stopped at the shop and tell the lady I want $5 tacos. You could imagine when you give me? No. Paper.
What your problem?
Honestly, life good for me over here. I just upgraded to the Digi1 Elite. I have unlimited postpaid plans, Digi TV, free home phone, and the fastest home internet.
I going to upgrade mines now.
The Atlantic
Atlantic International Bank, and costliest disputes in Belize's banking history, has ended with a now approved $23 million settlement. That's how much Atlantic International Bank must fork over to the Federal Trade Commission.
Remember back in 2019 when Atlantic International Bank was sued for its involvement in the Sanctuary Bay land scam?
The amount involved would, in any case, have killed the bank.
It has already forced the winding up of Belize's largest offshore bank, Atlantic International, and that has left scores of depositors holding an empty bag, standing to lose possibly all their savings.
Back then, it was Atlantic International, killed by a $23 million settlement. Now, Atlantic Bank has loaned over $60 million to State Bank without adequate collateral.
So, what will the central bank Governor Kareem Michael do?
Mr. Governor, will you not address the nation? Should depositors be concerned about their money?
Espat is a complete failure.
It seems that the battles follow me wherever I go.
The first important task given to him after getting elected was to head the Ministry of Health and Wellness in the midst of the pandemic, and he failed so miserably the ministry had to be taken away from him. Since then, he has continued to fail the people of Cayo North. The UDP left a modern, grant-funded water project in progress for Bullet Tree, and it was abandoned by Espat, leaving the village to suffer. The UDP left adequate funding and 5.19 acres of designated land for a new high school and primary school in the Contiki area. That is also now being abandoned by Espat. In 3 years, more than $1 million in community development funds and monies from the community vote have been disbursed to him at over $26,000 per month. But no one knows what he has done with it for the people of Cayo North. The voters of the constituency sent Espat a clear message on March 6 that they are not pleased with him, but rather than heed the message, he issues insults even to members of his own party.
These blue conkers who now seek to undermine us.
Espat has completely failed Cayo North, and Cayo North will completely reject him.
For a premium lubricant when you're on the go, or a premium brake fluid when you need to stop, choose the brand that's built for champions. Come to Premium Lubricants, distributed by Enrique Martinez and Sons Limited, 2 miles Philip Goldson Highway, Belize City. WhatsApp us at 606-4154.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
Over the last past few days, we have been reporting on an increase in cartel activities in neighboring Chetumal. 200 military personnel were deployed to Chetumal earlier in the week following the daylight murder of a businessman and an active duty police officer on busy streets in the city. There are growing concerns that this spike in violent crimes at the hands of cartel elements will spill over into Belize. Also, Belizeans are avoiding traveling into Chetumal for the usual leisure and business. Oscar Arnold, Belize's ambassador to Mexico, says the surge in cartel activities within the city is being fueled by a feud between rival gangs. He advised Belizeans to observe some caution if they are traveling across the northern border. Chetumal falls within the Mexican state of Quintana Roo, which is a tourist hub. So, will these recent occurrences in Chetumal affect the flow of tourism dollars from Belize? And are there Belizeans who also stand to lose? News 5's Paul Lopez traveled across the border into Chetumal today to find out firsthand how things have changed over the last week. Here's that report.
A Mexican military crackdown in Chetumal amidst a recent spike in cartel violence within the city has caused great concern among Belizeans. 200 military personnel arrived in Chetumal on Monday in artillery vehicles and a helicopter to assist local authorities in their crime-fighting efforts. On an annual basis, thousands of Belizeans travel into the city for leisure and for business. Today we are in Chetumal to find out how great of a concern are these recent developments to those traveling into Mexico.
We hear about the crime, right? But it's like, if you're not involved with that kind of thing, that you're not afraid to go over there, right? We've been over there this week and we had no issue. Everything is calm. We have no issue with those people, so I think we should be fine.
We met Lizette Casimiro at the Corozal-Mexico border heading to Chetumal. She told us that this is her second trip across the border this week as she exchanged her Belizean dollars for Mexican pesos from a money changer or peseros at the border. One peseros told us that his business is already feeling the negative effects of the reports of increased cartel activities in Chetumal.
Well, of course, I think and strongly believe that everyone is concerned about the situation, not only we as money exchangers. And in reality, we are working here and we have seen a drastic change, a drastic decline in Belizean going over to the Mexican side, especially in the hours of 4 or 5 in the evening. We have seen that it has declined drastically.
Is that usually the peak hour?
For people going over, yes.
I think that people is not too afraid to go to Chetumal. The thing is that they have to take care right now. We are hearing that in Chetumal they may have the cartels and all of them things. Maybe that's those people are going to come in here, but we have to trust in God first. If we go to Chetumal, we have to carry God with us.
Another Belizean we spoke with off camera was traveling from Cayo to pick up a relative at the airport in Chetumal. He told us that his decision to venture into Chetumal today was only out of necessity.
We have concerns about what is going on, but we go more out of the need. We go pick up our sister in Chetumal at the airport, so that's the only reason why we go there.
Yeah.
And so from what we understand is that as long as you stay during the day and don't stay at night, then everything should be okay and you stay where the crowd there, no?
Perhaps the upside to the decreased traffic going across the border is the expedited way travel documents are processed both on the Belize and Mexico sides. We then traveled into Chetumal, Mexico. A police checkpoint is situated only a short distance from the border crossing. Our first stop was at Plaza Las America, a popular mall in the city frequented by Belizeans. The next stop was the New Market, where Belizean bus operators park their buses. Belizeans gather at this market when commuting to and from Chetumal using public transportation. Here we found out that bus operators have already seen a decline in commuters.
We only bring 2 persons yesterday and 1 person today, and so they are supposed to be on busy day and nothing that happened. Persons usually busy. Yeah. So, yeah, And nothing that happened yesterday or today.
So you think that because of the crime?
I don't know, I'm not sure, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know what really happened.
How you feel being in Chetumal right now? Like,
I still safe because I come for work, not for do nothing out of the way.
Be honest with you, you hear up on the news about somebody dead every day. You hear a lot of sirens. A lot of things out this side there, right? Basically, business decline a lot because usually if you see out here at market, you would have got 6 buses and the bus operators are afraid to come across because of the same reason.
Do you think that there is a great cause for all of this concern at this point in time? You're in Chetumal right now.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I got over 25 years across the border, and if you look for bad, you get. If you come and deal with your business and deal with what you have to deal with, you don't have to worry about nothing. But if you come across a check, come party and come do stuff where you don't need to do, then obviously, well, you'll find your own demise, no?
To get a local perspective on the situation with the reported cartel activities in Chetumal, we sat down with Rafaela Flota inside the new market. She's a resident of the city and she operates a food business along with her sisters in the market.
Actually, I think the whole city is very worried about this situation. And we think that is affect us with the tourism.
So you feel like it will affect you with tourism. What have you... why do you think it is happening here right now in Chetumal?
I think it's a fight with cartels. They are looking for the plaza, or I don't know how you call this. I think I heard about a lot of people here in Chetumal is very concerned.
What is your advice to Belizeans when they come to Chetumal now? Should they do something to protect themselves?
I think with people that is not in problems, they are safe.
Are there areas that they shouldn't go? Some places you shouldn't go when you come to Chetumal?
Some places.
Yeah, that you don't go, that you say, no, I won't go there. Or no.
We don't know about that because the crime is in the streets, is anywhere, everywhere.
And if you go looking for an increased presence of law enforcement officers in Chetumal City, it won't take long to spot a police mobile speeding down a main avenue with sirens on. The heightened sense of security became more evident as we drove from one location to another. But amidst the reports of increased cartel activities and the evident surge in police and military presence, there are Belizeans who are not deterred.
Well, it's an everyday route for me. I come here to eat, come here to enjoy myself, and do little shopping and stuff. So it's a regular trip for me every day. I feel kind of scared sometimes, right? But I heard the news, so I didn't come to Chet for 2 weeks. But I came today and experienced that it's not pretty like what people have saying, right?
Well, honestly, coming from a humble place, I still could actually forward and make my way through. So either way, I make it through. Really.
No, what has your experience been like over here over the last few days?
Very calm, actually. Haven't experienced much, violence or anything like that. No, it's been pretty calm around where we were. We were at Calderitas, a little farther down from the Chetumal where everything was happening. So
as I get in from the border, it's asked to question as I get in, and everybody who I talk say that the people local who come here, they have no risk, right? They say we are safe, so that's why I'm not afraid. Yes, that's why.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
While the Mexican government seeks to put a lid on the escalating violence in Quintana Roo, it is also moving ahead with the installation of train tracks to facilitate a much faster means of travel between Belize and that part of Mexico. Belize's ambassador to Mexico, Oscar Arnold, told News 5 that the Tren Maya has been a popular topic of discussion, with some parts of the project already coming to fruition.
The Tren Maya has been a hot button topic. It's one of those infrastructural development that will see about 1,500 kilometers of train track that will link the entire southern Mexico There will be a train station at the Chetumal airport, which is only a few kilometers from the border. And so there are ongoing discussions to see whether or not a train station can be placed or can be built at the border. That would enhance, again, tourism. It would enhance travel. It would cut down the cost and the time of travel to areas like Cancun, Playa, Merida, and other areas in the southern part of Mexico. It would also help with cargo. So those discussions are ongoing. There's been clearings in the area of where the Expo Fair used to be held, that the road will run across there for the train, the route of the train. There's also a lot of work being done right across the airport from Chetumal, where the station will be. I think the building has been erected, and the supporting services, the buildings for the supporting services and the wraparound services are now being worked on. That section of the railways is supposed to be open in late June, maybe early July. That is when it's slated to be open. And so the work there continues for that. But there are other sections that are already in operation. The route to Merida, the route to Campeche, those have been inaugurated already.
Earlier this week in the High Court, 2 men were acquitted of a charge of murder due to a lack of evidence. Their release has raised questions regarding evidence gathering and the use of supporting proof to successfully prosecute suspects. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams weighed in from a law enforcement perspective.
When the police do arrest and charge someone, we may have sufficient to arrest. And where there is some evidence and we believe that we can put that matter before the court, then we do so. We're not going to be the ones to say that the evidence is insufficient. A court may look at a situation differently and may or may not convict. At the end of the day, we feel good to know that we did what we could have with the evidence we had and respect the outcome of the courts. I can say that unlike before, you're not hearing much instances where accused murderers are walking. We have had a number of convictions for murders over the past few months or even years, and we are hoping that trend is going to continue.
Late this evening, 3 men were arraigned on charges of being members of a gang. 23-year-old Kenyon Flores, 24-year-old Julian Woodeye, and Alan Anderson Jr. appeared in the lower courts, where they were each read a single charge of being a member of a gang. Woodeye was unrepresented in court, and before he entered a plea, he asked the senior magistrate for a sentencing indication and subsequently pleaded guilty. He was remanded to the Belize Central Prison until May 20th, 2024. Anderson, a resident of Manta Ray Boulevard in Ladyville, also pleaded guilty. He informed the court that he was just released from prison in January and was concerned that upon his return to the facility, he would be placed in solitary confinement. Last to be arraigned was Kenyon Flores, no stranger to the court. He has 3 ongoing cases before the court, including one of harm. He was placed on pretrial detention until June 7th. After the break, tourists embracing culture as part of tourism. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
For 19 years, SMART has been the pulse of our nation. A journey of growth, innovation, resilience, and unity.
From the first call that bridged distances to the data that brought us closer than ever, SMART has been there, weaving threads of connection across our beautiful land.
We have been active in providing innovative solutions to enhance our customers' lifestyles. Over the years, Smart has developed and provided various services to meet customers' needs.
To the dreamers, doers, and the believers, thank you for making Smart a part of your story. For 19 years of trust, loyalty, partnership, and shared experiences.
As we celebrate 19 years of connecting lives and dreams, let's keep the rhythm alive. Together, let's continue to shape our future one connection at a time.
Come and be a part of the Smart family, where we empower you and our country today, tomorrow, and beyond.
Smart, bringing people together.
The Atlantic International Bank, Atlantic's and costliest disputes in Belize's banking history, has ended with a now approved $23 million settlement. That's how much Atlantic International Bank must fork over to the Federal Trade Commission.
Remember back in 2019 when Atlantic International Bank was sued for its involvement in the Sanctuary Bay land scam?
The amount involved would in any case have killed the bank.
It has already forced the winding up of Belize's largest offshore bank, Atlantic International, and that has left scores of depositors holding an empty bag, standing to lose possibly all their savings.
Back then, it was Atlantic International, killed by a $23 million settlement. Now, Atlantic Bank has loaned over $60 million to State Bank without adequate collateral.
So, what will the central bank Governor Kareem Michael do?
Mr. Governor, will you not address the nation? Should depositors be concerned about their money?
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benque Viejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Rolling Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times, and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
Belize's tasty Garifuna dish, the hudud, has become part of this country's cultural tourism. The Martinez family of Hopkins Village has craftily woven the making of hudud into a cultural experience that they offer to tourists in that village. Today, News 5's Marian Ali and George Tillett took a tour of Palmetto Grove Eco-Cultural and Healing Lodge. And as their report reveals, hudud is but one of many components of a tour the family has mapped out for the tourists at heart. We present that story on cultural tourism as this week's edition of Belize on Reel.
The experience at Palmetto Grove Eco-Cultural and Healing Lodge begins with a 1-minute kayak journey across the Freshwater Creek Lagoon to Garifuna Island, where Palmetto Grove is located. The island is carefully mapped out for the tour by the Martinez family. Wasani Martinez, a certified dive master, guides you safely across to Palmetto Grove. A quick walk to the main area affords you the choice of changing into a comfortable cultural dress to begin the tour.
And after they grate the yuca on it, we put it into what we call a ruguma.
Leading off, like any spiritual family, the experience takes one through an interesting lecture on history and spirituality by the patriarch Eugene Martinez.
At this hour, just walking under that tree, next 3-4 hours, you'll start having bubbles in your body.
Martinez then leads the visitors on an educational tour about some of the trees, including the cashew and cocoa plum fruit trees, and the anato tree used to make recado.
Yeah, that's nice.
The only visitor on the day-long tour today was this woman, who gave her name as only Aisha from the state of Maine, USA.
I love how immersive it is. It's not just someone sitting and lecturing to you. You're actually, in the spaces and seeing the plants and making the foods and the dances and all of that. So I really enjoyed it, yeah.
You got to climb the tree, take down the coconut.
I did. I picked my first coconut today. So it was awesome, yeah.
And then you huxed, and then you actually made the hoodoo.
All of it, yes. And I do not know my way around the kitchen the way I should, but they were very patient and taught me everything, so it was very nice.
I know you're learning how to dance and to drum.
Yes, that too.
It is this kind of educational experience that owner Yuani Martinez says her family wants to share with everyone who signs up for the experience.
The trip across the lagoon, we managed to give you that kayak experience over because our boat again was stolen. So instead of giving up again, we relented once more and we said, you know what? Maybe it's for a cause. Why not just count the blessings despite the situation and turn it into something good? So that's how we started with the kayak ride across. And it has been embraced by our guests coming as an extraordinary part of the experience. So the idea here is to actually immerse yourself, be hands-on, learn, and make sure you can appreciate the culture, the people by the time you leave from here, and have fun at the same time. So doing that, we give you a feel of what our clothing is like. So it's nice and cool. You get the opportunity to participate without feeling extra hot despite the heat. We get a lecture from my dad. My family is that of politicians and activists, well known here in Belize. So a perspective from their eyes, their views, telling their own story. And then we move on into the herbal garden where we teach you and show you some of the herbs that we use for medicinal purposes and food purposes and holistic health on a whole, all part of Garifuna culture. You get to learn about the cassava baking process. You see the implements, you see the murals on the wall, and it's visual. It moves your senses, and that's the idea of the experience we offer. We want you to be able to hear, see, taste, touch, smell by the time and feel, that's for sure. So it moves your senses, it feeds your soul, and it revives your spirit. And by the time you leave from here, you're well immersed.
But the tourism package is a relatively young one that complements cultural tourism. The family purchased the land on the island and started the business in 2018 after a major setback.
When we first started here, it was out of necessity. We had an operation in the village and that was burnt down. We went into financial foreclosure, so we lost that property and we had 30 days to find where to go. My dad had this property, so refusing to give up and making sure that we can live to tell our ancestral story, our story from our perspective. We relented to move over here, clear the place, and fashion it into a traditional Garifuna community where we can actually live culture with dignity and then share it with guests who want to learn.
Were you rotating it around?
Part of that learning is making hudut, which includes grating the coconut and extracting the milk, seasoning the fish, which today happened to be a barracuda, and frying it. While that is being done, Someone is stirring the coconut milk as it cooks, while another beats the combination of boiled green and ripe plantains to complement the dish. The visitors' experience ends with a session on drumming and dancing to Garifuna music, led by Rayton Martinez and Tiana Nunez.
Most guests, when they come, they're pretty receptive. You know, they want to learn, they want to interact. So it's pretty easy, you know. Sometimes they do it on their own, or they'd ask, you know, if I can do it, and then they just follow along.
So tell me this, Rayton teaches by showing us. You start with one hand, and then you tap with the next hand twice, and then you go back to one. Is it the same way with the steps?
It is, yes, because if you notice, whatever movement I make, the drum reacts. Yeah. So, and he also has to be pretty attentive to what I do, so that he knows. Yes.
Ioane Martinez says the tour can be personalized to suit anyone with any time limit, from only one session to all day, and even for overnight visitors. And where tourists want additional tours like horseback riding, Palmetto Grove outsources those portions to other tourism tours in communities that offer them. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.
If you would like to book a tour with the Martinez family at Palmetto Grove Eco-Cultural and Healing Lodge, you can contact Ioane Martinez at 661-6039, or you may log on to their website at www.palmettogrove.com. Recently, the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, Anthony Mahler, and a team of Belizean business representatives traveled to Brazil to participate in the World Travel Market Latin America 2024. With 27,000 professionals and 620 exhibitors from across the globe in attendance, this event allows for Belize to meet with other businesses and form potential partnerships. In the Belize Pavilion were representatives of Barefoot Key, Cocker Hotel, Moyona Resorts, Table Rock Jungle Lodge, and the Belize Tourism Board. The Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations spoke with us about the significance of this trip.
I just recently visited Sao Paulo, Brazil. I truly believe that Latin America is an untapped market for us. We just haven't done the heavy lifting that needs to be done in those key markets, and we're talking about certain cities in Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina to start, and then other parts of Central America. We strongly believe that if we put in the effort, we can get more people to come. For example, getting back to Belize was only a day. You didn't have to overnight in Miami or anywhere else coming back from Sao Paulo. So those opportunities are there. We just have to go after them. I met one day, we had a press conference, and I met with over 100 writers and people in the trade who package and prepare their guests to come to destinations like Belize. And that was a big moment for us as well. We spoke about the beauty of Belize, the wealth untold that God has blessed us with, and we will continue to do so all across the world.
When we return, where is Belize on Anti-Corruption Commission?
This May, things are going to be amazing at Benny's. Find great gifts for moms such as Pyrex Bakeware, Chicago Cutlery Knife Sets, Corningware, Snapware, Corel Dinnerware, and much more at amazing prices. Also check out our impressive line of Sankey appliances and other household items. Take advantage of these amazing deals and discounts all May long, only at Benny's. Quality and savings.
The Joint Union's negotiating team met with government officials on Wednesday, following a hiatus from discussions with the Briceño administration related to a number of issues, including anti-corruption. PSU President Dean Flowers discussed the issue with reporters following the meeting at the House of Culture.
As you know, we had elections and all that, and so that took up a bit of our time and our preoccupation. And so we did not meet and we were not able to finalize that. And so that was a big discussion today. But we had other deliverables that we did not deliver on, which is to people, the Revenue Enhancement Advisory Committee, the Cost Saving Advisory Committee, and the Pension Reform Working Group. On our part, we had lagged behind in terms of appointing our persons to those committees, and so that delayed the work some. But that was finalized today, and there were countless other things, but I'm sure the unions will fill you in on that.
And in terms of the request for the establishment of an anti-corruption commission by the UN, I think the document says that you all believe this is the only approach that is feasible at this point, or that can be taken to really address the issue of corruption in Belize.
When we touched on that, the question to the minister responsible for political and public sector reform was whether or not there was a difficulty in exploring that option, which, as you rightly said, we believe is the only option left available to us. It would be very naive of us as a people to think that we have the necessary infrastructure and the necessary expertise and the political will in country to adequately tackle corruption and to address and effect the many pieces of legislation that has been passed, including the most recently adopted Civil Asset Recovery and Unexplained Wealth Order Bill. As I stated, that is a beautiful piece of legislation to assist in curbing corruption. The question now that must be taken to the FIU director is what steps have been taken to, one, recruit competent individuals, and two, whether or not they have the requisite resources, including office space.
The Joint Union negotiating team is also advocating for significant tax reforms. According to Nadia Kalis, the Belize National Teachers Union president, some businessmen are evading taxes by declaring items as zero-rated. She contended that middle and low-income families are bearing the brunt of taxes in Belize.
During our discussion with government today, they brought to our attention, well, they were happy that we brought certain things to their attention. They asked for us to give them some time to go back and discuss these things. But at the same time, they have already been working on tax reform. And so when we meet again with them, they will be presenting to us what it is that they have been doing and what they will do to address the things that we brought to their attention. One of the key things brought to their attention in the area of tax evasion, let me talk about that one, is that we have importers bringing in furnitures and different things from across the border and then using receipts saying ramen noodles, and then ramen is a zero-rated, it's tax-free. You don't have to pay taxes on that. And that is not fair to the Belizean people any at all.
The Joint Union negotiating team has also requested a detailed report of the country's debt profile from the government of Belize. Dean Flowers, the president of the Public Service Union, says that this should be on the minds of every Belizean. He added that GOB did not provide the report on Wednesday, but has committed to do so in a timely manner.
As it relates to the debt profile of the country, I think that is a concern and a matter of high importance that should be on every single Belizean mind. As we all know, we would have restructured our debt or most of our debts in 2021. We would have received 3 years moratorium on most, if not all, of our debts. So several of our debts now become due and payable as we speak. Included in that is the interest payments for the super bond, which matures in 2020. And so we felt that given that there will be now added demand on government finances to meet our national and international debts, that it's important that we get an understanding of where we are with that and the obligations that will be tied to that, because if it is that we're unable to meet those debt payments, then we will be back at square one when the government will be looking at where can it cut expenses, and as we all know, it has always been cutting the public purse in terms of public officers' salaries. And so we now have that at the forefront of our agenda in terms of paying attention to that, because any slip up in that can end up costing us money again in the long run. We did not receive that today, but we did receive a very detailed presentation on where we are as a country in terms of our debt, and commitment was made by the representative from the Ministry of Finance to provide a comprehensive debt profile to us. And so once that is provided, I would have no problem sharing that or speaking on that with the Belizean people.
Up next, Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith gives Mike Espat his flowers.
Every day, we access energy for cooling, lighting, and powering our electrical appliances and devices at work and at home. During cooler months, we rely less on cooling appliances such as fans and air conditioners. However, during warmer months, as the temperature and humidity rises, we use more energy to cool our spaces, and our appliances and electrical devices work harder than they do during the rest of the year. When the months become hotter, let's all practice energy conservation. Here are a few changes that you can make to manage your energy use. Check that all appliances and electrical devices are working efficiently. Turn lights off when not in the room. Unplug chargers, appliances when not in use. Turn off fans and TVs. Use energy-saving light bulbs such as LEDs. And look for the Energy Star products when purchasing appliances and electrical devices. These easy changes can reduce energy use and costs. You can also monitor your energy use during the month by reading your meter and calculating the reading using BEL's bill calculator on our mobile app or by visiting our website. Let's all save energy.
For 19 years, SMART has been the pulse of our nation. A journey of growth, innovation, resilience, and unity.
From the first call that bridged distances to the data that brought us closer than ever, SMART has been there, weaving threads of connection across our beautiful land.
We have been active in providing innovative solutions to enhance our customers' lifestyles. Over the years, SMART has developed and provided various services to meet customers' needs.
To the dreamers, doers, and the believers, thank you for making SMART a part of your story. For 19 years of trust, loyalty, partnership, and shared experiences.
As we celebrate 19 years of connecting lives and dreams, let's keep the rhythm alive. Together, let's continue to shape our future one connection at a time.
Come and be a part of the SMART family, where we empower you and our country today, tomorrow, and beyond.
SMART, bringing people together.
Mike Espat's state funeral is scheduled for the 10th of May. On Wednesday, we spoke with one of Espat's longtime colleagues, going all the way back to his days as a teacher at the Toledo Community College. Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith taught alongside Espat at TCC. When we caught up with Smith, he reminisced on those good old times and the man that he knew Espat to be.
When I met Mike Espat in the September
of 1987, freshly graduated from St. John's College, sixth form.
Were you?
That was me. When I met him, he was the principal of Toledo Community College, where I taught for a year in the English department, teaching English language and English literature. I actually lived in Mike's house for a couple of months until I was able to find a place of my own. And I was involved with him in various things. For instance, I have a vivid memory of entering a pigsty with him. He was a hands-on person, very practical, involved in the rice production, involved with the pig program at the campus. I remember stepping into the sty with him and wading in the mud and the muck and assisting him, just generally dealing with the livestock. Always a party man, never fearful to speak through to the leadership, and always willing to lead a backbench revolt, but only going so far.
In early April, the Belize Athletic Association held its elections, where Kojak Smith was elected as the president with a vote of 35 to 34 over Jahid Smith. With a newly elected council, the association hopes to open a new chapter of better accountability and support for athletes. President of the association, Kojak Smith, spoke with us about the goal to secure more sponsorships and raise public awareness for sporting events.
We recently had an election that concluded. It was the current vice president, Mr. Jahid Smith, against myself, a member of the association, and we were vying for the vacant position from Mr. Dion Sullivan, who had resigned about a year ago. So the conclusion, it was a close race, and I ended up winning by a small margin of 1 vote. Yeah, so we have a new executive now. We have some new executive members, as well as some incumbents from the previous executive, and we're trying to move athletics as best as we can in a more constructive way, and be more accountable, producing a better product for Belize so that we can vie for more sponsorships and donors and stuff like that. So that's the direction we're trying to put it, and just move athletics further, developing the country, developing sports, developing the athletes and the coachings as well. So that's what we're looking for.
Nothing comes without money. So my next question is, how do you propose to bring in all those needed funds that will be needed to do all of these things?
Well, we're looking at partnerships with different businesses, any businesses that are willing to partner with the association. We're looking into collaboration. So if anyone that's listening to this newscast that wants to collaborate with the Belize Athletic Association and partner with us to see how best it could be beneficial to both parties, we're open to that. So they could reach us at the Belize Athletic Association page on Facebook, or they could reach me at 632-2622, or they could always just contact me then, and I could have them talk to the General Secretary to work that out. But we're just trying to be as collaborative as possible, and one of the things that track and field has not been doing is visibility. We've not been visible. So that's probably one of the reasons we've have the support from the business community as much as we would want to. So it's just to getting that started, and also to push a better product that we're producing as an executive. Just being more accountable, producing our financials and stuff like that, whereby we could vie for different sponsorship internationally and locally.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available at channel5belize.com, on our Facebook and on YouTube. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.